I know that I am not the only person in the world. This podcast episode, however, is dedicated to those who apparently think they are. I'm Larry Fedoruk, and this is Later That Same Life. On this weekly podcast, topics, discussions, stories from our lives.
Season 10, Chapter 8.
Blissfully Unaware.
They must think they are the only person in the world. That's the only explanation I can come up with to make any sense of certain behavior exhibited by numerous Homo sapiens. Well, just a minute, they can't be Homo sapiens, because Homo sapiens comes from homo, meaning human, and sapien, meaning wise or astute. The people I'm talking about aren't astute at all. They are Homo stultus. They are blissfully unaware. And it's time that they got called out and exposed. It is their actions that disrupt the normal flow of humanity and flaunt the implicit social contracts of our societies. How else would you explain a person who stops dead in their tracks at the end of the escalator ride so that they can get their bearings, look around, decide in which direction they want to go? Why are you stopping? You had the entire escalator ride to make this decision. But instead you daydreamed your way to the bottom or top, at which point you seemed surprised that the ride had ended, and that now you must use your own legs and feet to keep moving. But no, you stand there, causing a chain reaction human fender bender behind you. At least at the bottom of the escalator, we all fall onto you and crush you to your well-deserved demise. But at the top, we all fall backwards and kill ourselves. Seems like basic common sense, but hey, when the escalator ride ends, keep moving. You are not the only person in the world. The top and bottom of the escalator are not places for quiet introspection. Speaking of which, escalator law clearly states that you stand on the right and walk on the left. I know. Why people walk up or down an escalator is a mystery to me as well. I guess they are just in that extra bit of hurry. I am not completely satisfied with the speed of this conveyance, so I will also walk. But, we allow for these busy, important people with the following rules. Stand on the right, walk on the left. If you are two people together who choose to just ride, don't stand beside each other and block the walkers. If you're on an escalator or people mover with a suitcase, keep it in front of you or behind you, not beside you in the walking lane. Most people know the rules, but there's always one Homo stultus, someone unaware of the needs of others. Someone who must believe that they are the only person in the world. And they must be the same person who grabs a grocery cart from the cart area, but then stops as soon as they walk through the entrance of the grocery store. They need a minute, creating a traffic backup behind them. I've noticed lately that they've added cup holders to shopping carts. How about adding a horn? Or hey, how about this? A car horn app on your cell phone. Hey, move on. Further, I'll bet they're the same person who just leaves their shopping cart in the middle of an aisle so that they can walk back several feet to pick up that taco kit they changed their mind on. And then you come along, you can't pass left, you can't pass right. No one is there for you to clear your throat at. Excuse me. No, so you got to walk around your cart, move their cart, then get back behind the wheel of your grocery cart. And hey, not that that's a big deal, but I always just wonder what kind of person shows no regard for other shoppers. Well, the one who thinks that they are the only person in the world. I'm willing to bet also that out in the parking lot, it is this person's car that is taking up 2 parking spaces. Or it's parked so close to one line that even if I park properly next to them, one of us is not going to be able to get out of our car. It would be easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than it would be for a man to enter the kingdom of Loblaws when some idiot doesn't park properly. And you know why these people park that way? Because it renders the next spot to them virtually useless. No one parks there, so they have a place to leave their shopping cart when they're done. So now, even though they've gone home, their shopping cart takes up that space. There are actually a few different people who make YouTube videos where they go to parking lots and shame people who are too lazy to put their cart back in the cart return space. They even throw these car magnets onto the vehicle, which publicly exposes their laziness. If you watch these videos, every once in a while someone will say, you know, you're right, you got a point, and they'll take the cart back. But what's really amazing is the number of people who just refuse to do it. People who will just not take a few seconds out of their day as a common courtesy to others. At this other medium-sized mall near me, what most people do is they find a parking space, park, then they walk the few yards to the liquor store. However, there's always some VIP, usually a big truck or a 4x4, who pulls two wheels up onto the curb in the fire lane and runs in. Two-way traffic can't get by there. But they don't care. They have shaved 5 minutes off the time it takes a normal law-abiding person to buy a bottle of vodka. And his courtesy is, well, I left the flashers on. My Shell station also has a Tim Hortons kiosk. The blissfully unaware pull up to a pump, they fill up, they pay for the gas, and then they go stand in line at the Tim's 5-10 minutes longer, while the rest of us sit and wait in line for the next available pump. Hey, fill up your car, pull into that parking space, and then go stand in line at Tim's. Oh, no, they don't do it. It's too much. Then, of course, there's that person in very busy traffic who sneaks across the intersection into the long line of vehicles ahead, only to end up blocking the intersection when the other direction gets their green light. What are you thinking? I guess you're not. Homo stultus? The difference in your commute time, if you were, 20 feet back there and not over here in everyone's way, being a huge pain in the ass, is negligible. Yet here you are blocking others for the entire duration of the green light. Why? 'Cause you're you. You're special. It's okay. We pedestrians will just walk out onto the live lane of traffic. Don't worry about us. We just want you to get home 2 seconds sooner than you would have had you stayed back there. And this one is not even an implied rule. In a lot of places, blocking an intersection and causing gridlock is actually against the law. But who's going to enforce that? Citizens arrest? My brother and I recently went to a small motor speedway for a day at the races. Half-mile paved oval. We sat up in a small grandstand. We could see the whole thing. During the final race, 2 guys in large cowboy hats decided that they were going to watch the race standing up near the grandstand. So their bulbous Stetsoned heads blocked our view of the finish line. I didn't say anything because, for one, I'm basically non-confrontational. Plus, they may have been gunslingers, and I just watched them drink 9 beer each over the last 2 hours. So I give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they just forgot that there were other people in attendance. Perhaps they were the only 2 people in the world. Certainly the only 2 people in their world. The blissfully unaware. Or perhaps they just don't care. They talk in the middle of the movies. They leave their cell phones on in meetings and at restaurants. They drive below the speed limit in the passing lane. They let their kids run amok, even though it's clearly annoying others. They walk and text, taking up the entire sidewalk. They begin to cross a wide street, even though the crossing light is clearly clicking down under 5 seconds. And they don't even run, they stroll. They ride their bikes on the sidewalk. They litter. They spit. They swear over their breath. They wear sandals to the diner. They phone chat on speaker in public. They whistle, hum, or sing out loud to themselves. They listen to music on headphones, but we can still hear it. They tap their feet. They suddenly display inappropriate scratching at will. They have no wallet, card, or payment option ready even though they are at the cashier, and have been so for several minutes. They wear too much cologne and perfume. They put their bag down on the seat next to them on a crowded bus. They change their mind about a grocery item in their cart, so they just put it back in some random section. Even then, they still bring way too many items to the express line. And let's be clear, you push your cart through the checkout lane, not pull. Because when you pull, there's your empty cart between me and the conveyor belt. So I have to wait. These people, they walk right into the elevator as soon as the door opens, not realizing some of us are trying to get out. They butt in line. They stand too close to you in line. Man, I loved social distancing. Let's bring that back. They snap their gum and click their pens. They bring stinky food to work, and or forget about their stuff in the work fridge until it becomes a disgusting science experiment. At the takeout place, they finally get to the counter and they aren't ready to order. They don't return calls, texts, or emails, or don't read the entire email and reply only partially, or unnecessarily reply all. They are almost always running late, consistently forget to do something that they promised to do, don't care where they fart, they use their outside voice inside, they don't cover their mouth when coughing, they partake in over-the-top public displays of affection, your OTT PDAs, they'll walk out of a public restroom without washing their hands, they let their dogs bark incessantly, they don't hold the door for you, they offer opinions when you didn't ask for one, and they take too long to hit a golf ball or make a poker bet. Oh, and how about when I stop to let you cross in front of me, and you cross in a diagonal line? No, shortest distance between 2 points. I'm waiting out of the kindness of my own heart, and you're taking advantage of my kindness. And you don't have to run, but at least give me that fake move that you're trying to run or hurry, and in a straight line. And that's just a partial list.
You know, we're living in a society, we're supposed to act in a civilized way.
I know what you're saying. Larry, how do you even get on in the world? Why don't you just lock yourself up, never go out, and have food left outside your door? Oh, believe me, I've thought about it. And listen, some of this stuff annoys me, some more than others, but really even more than that, the being annoyed, I'm actually usually more just in awe that people have these habits that are inconsiderate. Is it bad upbringing, a disregard of the fellow human, or like I said, they've come to the conclusion that they are the only person in the world? I mean, they must know of the existence of others. I'm sure of that, but somehow, when they actually step out into the public, that piece of knowledge leaves their brain, and they must think that they are completely on their own to conduct themselves in any manner they choose. And let me anticipate your next question. Larry, how did you get to be so perfect that you have none of these habits? Well, we all make mistakes. We all zone out and block the entire frozen foods section. And in general, I'm sure I've done some things in public that have annoyed people. However, I honestly can't think of one right now because I'm the opposite of the blissfully unaware. To a fault. I'm the most conscientious. I'm too aware. I know my escalator etiquette. I return the grocery cart. I minimize public cell phone usage. I thank the bus driver as I'm exiting. Let's face it, I'm a saint. Well, no, of course not, but of all those annoying, irritating, rude, selfish people, I think that I'm too much the other way. I realize that I have the power, and not just me, we all do, to make or break someone else's day just in the manner I comport myself, while I'm out hanging with the hoi polloi. The self-centered people do, in fact, really annoy me, and I also drive myself crazy trying to be too much the opposite. Annoyed and crazy is no way to go through life. So I guess I'm back to locking the door and ordering in. Allow me to reference episode 38 of this podcast called Social Contracts. Explicit social contracts are the laws and regulations we live by. Implicit social contracts are the rules and etiquette we largely accept, that if practiced, make the world a nicer place to be. You know, it doesn't take that much. The other day I was at the store and came around a corner to a blocked aisle, and the woman noticed me and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me." And that's all it takes. A nicety, an acknowledgement that others exist. "Not at all," I said. "No worries, thank you." I didn't have a problem with her because you can usually tell if it's a person that just made a mistake or wasn't paying attention for a second, as opposed to someone who regularly exists in oblivion. Sometimes you do have to cut some people some slack, based on the current situation and what they might be going through. It's like the old saying goes, you always know the what, but rarely know the why. Hey, maybe they're having a bad day. As I said, though, you can usually tell the mistaken misdemeanors from the habitual social felons. To paraphrase the Rolling Stones, you can't always do what you want. I said, you can't always do what you want. No, you can't always do what you want. But if you're kind sometimes, you just might find you've done a good deed. And as I said, I am not the etiquette police. Sometimes I wish I was. I don't tell people how to act. I just get annoyed. And then I go home and ruminate on why I didn't say something. I think I've got to stop doing one or the other. I guess both. And here's the thing that recently inspired all this rumination. I was walking across the street to the store. At the end of my driveway, I turned onto the sidewalk and immediately noticed about 50 feet ahead coming toward an old man in the middle of the sidewalk, head down, buried in a cell phone, texting up a storm. Immediately, I think, oh great, another person not paying attention. Should I just hold my ground and wait till they almost bump into me? Or my usual, just walk onto the grass around them? This guy looked like he was 100 years old, also about 100 pounds, and maybe 5 feet tall. Like I told you, I'm generally non-confrontational. Plus, I wasn't sure if push came to shove that I could take this guy. So I go, yeah, it's not that big a deal to take 2 steps over onto the grass. It is just the idea of it. It's just annoying. Then I got to thinking, hey, good for you, old dude. You're 100 years old, and you look like you're way into the new tech. You're texting like there's no tomorrow, which for you there might not be. As we get closer, still doesn't see me, but I can see his thumbs, texting, typing rapidly. Occasionally, the right hand comes off and he uses his index finger, and then the same with the left hand, and then back to the frantic thumb action. Wow, this guy's good. Kudos. We get closer, so I get off onto the grass. The man walks by me in the middle of the sidewalk. I see that it's not a cell phone at all. It's a scratch lottery ticket. All this was him working on a scratch ticket. He was coming home from the store across the street, and he couldn't even wait to get home to play. The motion, posture, intensity, and rudeness of a 100-year-old guy with a scratch ticket was identical to that of a 15-year-old texting on a smartphone. I was thinking that at least with the lottery ticket, there was a dream of $50,000. What's the reward of a text? A return text with a picture of what your friend had for lunch? Anyway, I went from being annoyed to thoroughly amused. And I also thought, hey, if you live to be 100, you should have the whole sidewalk. Everyone should actually step onto the grass and allow you to pass by. I think I know the root cause of my obsession with rules and manners. When I would screw up as a kid, my parents had this line they would lay on me. And I had great parents who were well-intentioned, But unpack this future guilt trip associated with this reprimand. Oh, Mr. Big Shot, I guess you think the rules don't apply to you. I think I had a few teachers that used that on me as well. It must have been very popular at one time. You think the rules don't apply to you. Followed by, well, let me set you straight right now, mister. They do. Truthfully, for a while, I probably did think that. The rules don't apply to me. I'm too cool for the rules, man. But then you learn. Most of the rules do apply to most of the people. So, Homo stultus, blissfully unaware, only person in the world, maybe over the last few minutes, something sunk in. Maybe the rules do apply to you as well. Ignorance is bliss, but let me tell you, there can also be great contentment in knowledge.
You know, we're living in a society.
Later That Same Life is written, voiced, and produced by Larry Fedoruk. LarryFedoruk37@gmail.com. Subscribe to Larry's podcast YouTube channel. Get automatic notifications with each new episode.